All right, here. It's Tuesday. It's another episode of Mind of Iggy. So I'm here. I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking about all the things that are playing out right now around the world. And I've been watching my metaphysical friends and family, holistic, religious, you name it, everybody. And and I'm hearing the same patterns. Set your intentions. Our intentions are, if we set the intentions to be a certain way, things will work out a certain way. And I'm going, and that will change your reality. And now listen, I'm kind of a big skeptic here sometimes about certain things. And I'll be the first person to say, hey, you know what? I agree or disagree with that. But regardless, you have to kind of be in that mode, kind of ask some questions. So, intentions. I'm sure a lot of people have great intentions to do some magical things in this world, but they don't always work out. So, when does somebody else's intention, overstep somebody else's intention? Is it that easy? Is it that you know that thin, that layer? So we have people who have created intention that they want this to happen in the world. We have other people who want to create an intention to have things happen in the world. We have intention to raise a vibration into the 5D realms of the world and leave our bodies in whatever. And then we also have intention where we're in the 3D world, which we're all in the 3D world. Everybody who's on this show or listening to anything I'm saying, you're in the 3D world. And to go into the 4D world, which is a whole, I know I can explain all that stuff to you, but sometimes it's fun to do your own research. But regardless, the big thing right now, everybody's talking about creating intention, creating manifestation, and all those things that come with that. So I would like to create intention that the world be a peaceful place, but that's not happening because there are other people creating intentions of having disruption. That no, this isn't the way. This isn't how it works out. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Now, for example, I posted something about CERN. Now, I posted because I find it curious and I find it very fascinating that man is trying to create little black holes and smash electrons and do all kinds of experimental stuff in Switzerland, this huge, humongous side facility where there's nothing can go wrong there. If you watch enough sci-fi movies, enough history about anything where man is involved in it, there's a lot that can go wrong. It's like in Japan, right? They have nuclear power plants that have melted and they have to stabilize the core. So what would happen to that core if it melted and it goes to the earth, right? And comes up in Chicago or something like that. But my point is this. My point is this. Some people say it's conspiracy theories or whatever. Okay, fine. It's conspiracy theory. Okay, whatever. But you can't tell me, okay, that you know damn well you know what's going on there. And they're not even going to tell you exactly what's happening there. They won't even waste their time to tell you. They're going to give you the bare minimum bones view of anything. Because number one, it's a private and it's an institution that is doing probably things that we probably should not be doing. I'm guessing here, I'm not sure. Just like here's the simplest example I can give you. Remember when Coca-Cola first came to the market? For example, the recipe when it was given to somebody, sold it and gave it to somebody else. And then, but nobody really thought about cocaine was going to be like a factor to affect people's minds and their feelings and their emotions. But one of the main ingredients was cocaine, and cocaine was used like very, very much in early medicine. All right. So until you know what you don't know, shut up. Those of you who think you know what's going on in CERN, I don't know what's going on in CERN, but the thing is, I know that something ain't right when humans are involved. Anytime humans are involved, I'm always questioning, always going to question. When they got the little paws in there, this is about bigger things. And you don't build and spend that kind of money unless you're looking for something or you want to create something bigger or you want to tap into something bigger. Back to the Coca-Cola, right? We didn't know that Coca-Cola was affecting people adversely if you drink it. Oh, it's a Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 1800 drinks, right? But anyhow, my point is this. Then they took cocaine out of it. Still Coca-Cola, still addictive because now they know that sugar is just as addictive as cocaine, right? Sugars are very addictive to our body, and we consume sodas like nobody's business around the world, especially in this country. So there's a lot of things we don't know. And to give somebody a hard time because they're asking questions is stupid. You do it because you think you're smarter and you think you know more. Whatever. You don't know shit. Okay? The only thing you know is what you know and what you read on Google, what they feed you. What they feed you, okay? Until you learn, okay, until you're in the housings of it, you or me, we really don't know what's happening in Switzerland. But I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you one something. Man's involved. So there's a problem there. I have a problem when man's involved because man likes to tinker. Man likes to create the Frankensteins of the world. Man likes to see how far they can push the limit. When I say man, I'm encompassing men and women and everybody and everybody in that. Humans, okay? Or people. Let's just call them people so we don't offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody today because I'm sure I'm offending people right now. But the point is, when I talked about CERN, it wasn't because I was scared. It was more like, what's going to happen? What could possibly happen when you turn something of that magnitude on? All that nuclear, all that electricity, all that energy that's compounded inside these tubes. You know, what can happen? Everything could happen, or nothing could happen. Maybe it's just a farce, right? Maybe it's not real. Maybe it's just a joke. Maybe it's just one of those things to make people do. But it causes intention, creates imagination. It creates all these thoughts in our minds about what could be the possible thing that could be going on in there. But CERN is one of those things that they just turned it on today around 10 a.m. It's going to be on for 4 years. So they're going to be experimenting 4 years. I think it was on one time before, back in 2008 or something like that. I'd have to check on my notes. But we talk about all these things that have been happening in the world. We talk about the Mandela effects. We talk about things being different. We talk about us waking up and not feeling the same. We talk about all these things that are happening in the world. Now, our intentions focus. We hyper intent. Where energy falls in tension, right? So wherever you put your energy, it's where it's going to go. And so now, tell me about the Supreme Court, for example. Where's the energy and tension there? How'd that work out? How did that intention override everybody else's intention? So, my friends in the metaphysical world, I just want to say, hey, you know what? You guys are great. And I love what you're doing. I love what we're doing. But you know what? Sometimes we have to also work on the 3D aspects of ourselves and not think that we're just going to run off into this world and create it. Our intention has to be very, very high energy right now in order to override anything that we find is corrupt or anything that we find is wrong and not to our standard. But energy falls intent. So the energies of this country are following the intention. And the intentions are that we created intention early on. Intention doesn't mean it has to be like right now. The intentions were created early on to create manifestation, creation to the point where we are today. So if you don't think the power of manifestation works, if you don't think uh, the law of attraction doesn't work, you're kidding yourself. Okay? You're kidding yourself because it does work. It's worked. It's working right now. It's working in the favor of the people who created the higher intention, higher vibration energy to move into this space. Because the other ones felt like we're in a good place. We don't have to do that. We don't have to put energy there anymore because we need to put it someplace else. And so this is what happens when you create energy funds intent. You have all these people who are creating mass creation, right? And it can happen between any timeline, any time period in the world. And it's just a stepping stone period. The problem is, as human beings, we want to see results like right now. We want to see it right now. Instant gratification. But manifestation doesn't always work that way. Manifestation is not about it being like right now. Manifestation means it could be a slow, subtle progression to where we need to get. And that's what happens with things like we see today. When we see the Supreme Court justice, this is someone's creation. This is somebody's plan. This is someone's intentions, someone's affirmations, okay, someone's vision and goal of the future. These are future intentions to create what we have today. We have today because somebody put forth those ideologies, those ideas, those feelings, those intentions. How do you change that? We change it the same way they've created it. We do it the same way. But the thing is, we're gonna go through that angry phase right now. We're gonna be upset. We're gonna be mad. Then we have to settle down and got to figure out, now, how do we counter that intention? How do we counter that? Well, there's all kinds of ways. People would say voting. People would say, get rid of the people who are in office. There's all kinds of ways. You're as creative as they are. Be creative. Figure it out. You know, I'm 55. Doesn't mean I'm going to be here forever, right? A lot of us will be gone in the next 50 years. Let that sink in for a minute. A lot of us who are older, the next 50 years, 20 or 30 years, we're not here. We're not here because of the way the intentions of humanity to live the length that they do. Because we get old. So, like for CERN, for example, CERN, we don't know what's going to happen. We have no clue. We have no idea. We're playing with the God particles, and trying to create little black holes and stuff. Like I said earlier, yeah, I can't see anything go wrong with that. We'll collapse them upon themselves. We don't have enough data or theories to know what even would mean for that to collapse in that chamber or collapse in that moment, or to see what it's like to become what the Big Bang was like. You know, maybe time is relative. Maybe it's one of those things that's a loop. Maybe this is how the Big Bang occurred. Maybe this is how the universe expanded. Maybe this is where the God particles have met and they exploded and created everything. And all the things that were before that, which we didn't know, is just in the soup. And as the soup filters through and the soup starts to move through, the human genomes and the animal genomes, the alien genomes, all the genomes of the world, of the universe just mixes in there. And then that would take God out of the equation, would it? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Not necessarily at all. But that's the thing. When man tinkers with things, and man is a tinkerer because man likes to experiment, likes to look at things and dissect it and pull it apart, put it back together, regardless if it works or doesn't. Your kids do that. Get a Lego set, you know, get a model kit set, get a jigsaw puzzle set, or just have toys that tear them apart. Take the heads off and put them on other people's heads, on other dolls and stuff. Either way, you get my point. It's kind of like nuclear power. We knew that there was a potentiality that it wasn't going to be very stable, even though it was very clean, even though there was a lot of power you can create from it and generate a lot of energy. But we knew the ramifications. We knew that the waste from that wasn't good for us, and that's why we steer away from that. That's why we move into those different realms. But yeah, we have all this stuff that we stuff and we store and we put away. So I'm not here knocking CERN. I'm here just concerned. That sometimes we may be overstepping our bounds when we're starting to tinker with things, because we're not just tinkering. We're also involving you, and everybody else. One bad call, one bad move, and we're all gone. And you had no choice in that. You had no say in that. You're just gone. But energy falls in 10. So the intentions. Who has the stronger intention right now? Who's manifesting, creating right now? All you got to do is look around. All you got to do is look around and see who's the creators and who are the manifestors in the world right now. And what you're buying, what you're purchasing, what's happening in your life, what's going on, what's happening, what's playing out. And you'll know exactly who has the stronger intention, the stronger drive and ambition to create another world over superseding your world and your creation. Because a lot of humans, what happens is we don't work together to create manifestation and creation intention unless we're part of something or connected to something. Okay, so the churches are very powerful tools because they create collective thinking. Some people would call it brainwashing, some people call it collective thinking. Some people just say they have faith, they have trust in this organization, so they come together. But they collectively build, they collectively work. So I find that people who are outside of the collective stuff sometimes have to find pockets of collective energy and collective thinking. And that's where we create our intentions in our little subworlds, because we create these little subworlds through drum circles, through sweat lodge work, through healing work, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the PTO or PTA, whatever they call it now. You create these little sub governments, these little sub worlds where you're in charge, where you're powerful, where you take a moment to step into the intention of what's at hand. But there are other people who think bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than everybody. And that's why their intention sometimes supersedes and overrides the intentions that we have created. That doesn't mean we can't change that. We can change it at any minute, but we have to work towards it together. It doesn't just work if one person thinks about it. That one person just starts the path that way. But the problem is, if only one person is in that intention just keeps riding. It keeps going out into nowhere. It just keeps going. It's like an endless road. But when you start creating other people, the intention works together. They start to bond. It starts to create manifestation. Starts to create imagination. Starts to create vibrational structure. Okay, so that structure starts to create. It starts to build. It's like the theory of the guy who's dancing at a concert. The first guy's usually not the guy who gets everybody going and riled up. It's the second guy kind of gets people going, but it's usually the third guy. The third guy or gal dancing and moving is where everybody gets locked in and everybody starts moving. And no one ever remembers the first or second guy, but they remember the third person who got it rolling, got it going. Because it's psychology, human interaction. Because by the time you get to the third person, there's so many people involved that nobody remembers how it got started. And that's how manifestation creation works. That's how it happens. Sometimes you ask somebody, "How did you create that? How did you?" And they say, "I don't know. I don't remember. It just happened. One day we were just doing it." Exactly. That's my point. Sometimes we don't have a starting point because we're not necessarily the starting point of that. But we are the people who make it work because we're moving through that energy. So how do we get out of 3D? Well, first of all, we got to remember we got a body. You can't forget your body, guys. Your body is a tool component to you going into the 3D, 4D, 5D levels of consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Go to 5D, the geometrical shapes, the Merkabas and the spiritual realms and stuff. You can't go there until you know your body here is okay. And then the 4D realms, well, those 4D realms are things that are looking to get to the 5D, but sometimes they get stuck in there and they just get moved. They're in that energy. That's usually where your fairies and your unicorns and all those things that you think about, all those things that you manifest and create, but they never go anywhere because they don't see you. It's like ants when they're doing their work. They don't even know you exist. They just do their work. They're just doing their thing. Ants just go about their business. You're like a big gush of wind that you don't see us. You're like, you know, until the ant once you step on an anthill, they know that something's up. They just don't know what's up. And kind of that's how when we move into the dimensional frequencies of ourselves, sometimes we step into these realms and we don't know what's happening. We don't know what's happening because we've never been there before. And then when we get to the 5D realm, it's not to stay there. It's to go there, bring back information, harness that information, and apply it to the 3D technology and share that in a way that 3D technology and people can think because it's different. There's two different vibrations. Okay. It just is. But your body, remember, your body is tethered to your spirit and your soul. So if you were to leave in meditation and to try to attain another dimensional thinking portal, your body's still tethered to the 3D world. So you don't actually go completely. Parts of you go, pieces and parts. Well, anyways, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to share that. Just thought in my head. Just wanted to pop in and just drop in. I hope you got a little something out of it. If I was yelling and screaming, it's because I got excited about it. Sometimes you get excited. It's good to be here, right? It's good to be here. So whatever you want to happen in this intentional creation of CERN right now, because there are people trying to create things to move into the higher vibration. That's where everyone says, I got to move into the higher vibration, higher existence of myself. Well, the higher existence of ourselves always exists. It's not like it never does exist. It's just not time for you to go there yet. And when you get there, you're like, oh, yeah, I got it now. I understand. I understand. So basically, let's do this. We want to create intention, then you have to create intention with other people. It doesn't happen by itself. So all the things in the world that you see right now, all the things that you see that you don't like, those are other people's intentions. Those are other people's creations. Those are other people's manifestations that have come to the forefront. That have actually Not necessarily canceled yours out. They're just on top of yours right now. Yours is underneath that layer. And the other layer is their manifestation, their creation. That's the simplest way I can explain it. I don't necessarily think that it deletes yours. It just covers yours for the moment until you find other like-minded people and we can raise the vibration, that energy. And everybody's like, what's raising the vibration? It's collectively thinking on the same level, but not necessarily you have to agree to every component of it, but knowing what we want. Just look around right now. Look around look at everything that happens in our human world. Look at everything in our human world, how it happens. Look at it. No, seriously, look at it. Look at all the things that happen all the time. How we create same scenarios play out all the time. Look at it. Just turn the news on. Watch the news. Listen to the person telling you, this guy, mass shooter. This guy got shot. This person didn't get shot because he's this. It's because it's the intentions that we create. It's the things we teach one another. It's the things that we teach our children, the things that we teach our loved ones, the things that we believe inside our core is to be. That you can't change unless that person is willing to change it. But you watch, all the patterns are there. It's just like the spiral in the flower. It's always there, right? The same thing is in our spiral of our lives. There's all the information is there. Every single piece, every single part of it is there. And it always plays out because it never goes away. It never goes away because we feed it. We feed it. Constantly feed it. We feed it because we think by feeding it and that's going to change it. No, you literally have to change the way you're thinking about things. You really have to teach completely different than how you were been teaching. You really got to subscribe to a different belief system of how to manifest it differently than it's been manifested. That's why certain things that have structure last longer and they have a lot of following. It's because they have a same story structure that continues to play out and records in your head. Boom, boom, boom. And that's all you hear all the time. Boom, boom, boom. And that's what it's locked in your subconscious mind. Boom, boom, boom. And it's in there. If you want to see change in the world, they always say, be the change you want to be. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's a true statement. But how many people believe that? How many people really on this planet believe that they can change the world? But it's not really about changing the world. It's about changing your world, your worldly view, your ideologies, your beliefs, and connect it with another human being who has similar thought. We're not clones and we're not robots, so we'll never see the things exactly the same. But we will see certain things a certain way, and we'll move in a certain way. So if you want to see different outcomes in the world, then you have to create different outcomes. You have to have your imagination. You have to create with your imagination a world differently than the world that you're seeing. And then when people laugh at you, you either have to bulldoze through or succumb and cower down because maybe they're right. Because you just empowered them and give them power over you because your dream wasn't big enough. Your intention wasn't big enough. Your spirit wasn't big enough to carry it through. And that's what happens all the time with people in this line of work. This line of work is we want to set intentions, but not everybody believes it. They think they believe it. Okay, so how do we get into this place? How did we get to where we're at today? How did we get here? In my mind, like I said earlier, it's the people with higher intention, higher probability, higher planning, higher affirmation, higher vision. It doesn't make them better. Okay, I'm not saying they're better. They just created together. And that's why we have the messes we have. Because those are the messes they wanted. That's the messes they needed in order to take control and power of what they want. But see, they come from a whole different place. Holistic people try to create from a place of peace, love, and joy, blah, 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 which the human mind sometimes cannot grasp that concept because it needs to know the shadow sides of itself. Because we are shadow and we are light. And if you're in the light, you get blinded, right? When the headlights are on in front of you, you're like this, right? And when you're in the dark, you're like this too. So you have to find a balance. You have to find a piece and parts of that manifestation, that creation. It can't be too much leaning one way and too much leaning the other way because you can't. It won't work. One of the best scenarios is Star Wars. They talk about the dark side and the Force, the good side, the light side of the Force, and then there's these people who are called the Greys. Okay, they're the ones that see that both parts have value in the universe. Both play a certain role in the universe, and it doesn't. And it's the same thing in our lives. It's the same thing in our lives. There's parts of us. Sometimes the shadow parts protect us and keeps us safe, and then the light also protects us and keeps us safe. But then there's a part of us that knows that we can't stay too long in one or the other. We just can't. The Great Awakening is what we awake, but we go back to work and we do the same thing. We do it again. We awake again. Like the old saying, you know what? What is enlightenment? Well, knowing you're gonna go chop wood and carry water again tomorrow, and then you have an enlightenment moment, and you go chop wood, carry water, again. It doesn't. You don't just go someplace. You're always in that place when you need to call on it, and that's what I'm talking about. So why are we where we're at? Pretty simple. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy, but we don't see it that way because we want to be frustrated. We want to be angry. We want to be on a piss show with other people or talk about it and be angry and upset. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't help. The point is, get through your whatever you need to get through, because that's what you're going to have to do, because that's just the human part of us. The humans are like that. We're very connected to the things we like and the things that are part of us. So work through the process. Once you work through that process, figure out solutions. Figure out ways that will make things work in the better behalf of the humanity. Sometimes when you're presented with a situation, you have to work with it, right? You lose an arm, right? You don't have an arm. You only have one arm now. You have 2 feet and an arm. You learn how to adapt and adjust. And even if you had a prosthesis, it's never going to be the same as having a real arm, right? But it's going to give you a little bit of a balance if you do use one. It's just kind of like, it's kind of the same thing. There's different things. Your life's like that. You lose certain friends. You lose certain uh, loves. You lose certain connections, but you create other ones, right? And they're not always necessarily the same, but they're connections nonetheless. There are people who you want to have in your life forever, but you know what? Either through death or ideologies and belief systems, they leave us, or you leave them. But either way, guys, you all have the tools to navigate this planet because that's why you're here. You're here because you have the tools. You just have to unlock those tools that are in your toolbox. You have to create new tools. You have to bring new tools in to help you move through this world. This world is not hard. We make it hard. If you're doing the same things over and over and you're still having the same patterns and you're stuck in the same ruts, that's because of you, nobody else. You have nobody else to blame but you while you're there. Now, it's easy to blame somebody else while you're there or why you feel the way you do because it's easier to push it onto something else, that energy onto someone else. All my problems, all my problems usually stem from my stinking thinking about how I project onto the situation, the ideas, or people. But I'm glad that I've been able to have good teachers in my life to share with me that that it is me, that it is about me, how I project into the world, how I see the world. Yeah, the world is projecting back and sharing its face too, because everybody else is projecting too. But I'm also projecting outwardly in and I'm also receiving that energy and reading that energy however I want to read it. Because you and I both know, all of us know, we can take a situation and we can turn it into a whole debacle, or we can turn it into an amazing gift. Now the question is, which one do you want to do? Create an amazing gift or crazy debacle? Anyways, it's kind of like my little shovel here. It has multiple purposes, right? You can use it for the little garden, for your Zen garden, or you can pop open a beer or a Coke or whatever you want to do it. You know, multiple uses, but regardless, this is what I'm talking about. Multiple uses, your spirit, your soul, who you are. Embrace the body, embrace the spirit and the soul, all of that. Be one with all of it. All right, guys. You guys take care. Be well. I will talk to you soon, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you when I see you. Either way, it's good to be here. Never forget that. Ho'oponopono matakuyasin. What is above is below. So I will see you. Be well, irisikwi, and aho, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out. Take care.